Hello all, I am Travis Giffen. I am the Assistant Director of Online Programs for the College of Education here at UIUC. I want to thank you all for attending the information session on Global Studies in Education and International Education Administration and Leadership and study abroad opportunities this evening or day, depending on your time zone. So I want to thank both of the professors attending tonight and presenting, Professor King and Professor Witt. Professor King is going to go ahead and get us started with talking about global studies in education. So I will turn things over to her.
Good evening. So I am getting ready for my slides. Okay, can everyone see my slide okay? Okay. Well, good evening or good morning, depending on where you are. So I'm here to talk about our program, Global Studies in Education, housed in the Department of Education Policy, Organization, and Leadership. We go by EPOL. My name is Dr. Hyun-Suk Kang. I'm the Associate Professor and the Coordinator of the program. Okay, so the interdisciplinary field of inquiry, global studies, is another product of globalization. So adopting the tenets of globalization and insights gained from the discipline global studies, we study the impact of globalization on education policy, pedagogy, practice in different social, cultural, and geopolitical contexts. So the faculty and students explore a wide range of topics and issues related to globalizing and globalization in education that are not limited to issues like human rights to education, taking a philosophical approach to social and educational justice. We study children and youth in globalized context, looking into issues like food security, access to clean water in the global South, and climate change and sustainability, looking into environmentalism in relation to social class, race, and other contextual factors. Some faculty and students study the internationalization of K through 12 schools and higher education, studying internationalizing the curriculum and course offerings and study abroad programs. As a matter of fact, Dr. Witt will be talking more about this point. And some students and faculty study global migration and mobility. With the growing refugee crisis in Ukraine, and as a matter of fact, around the world nowadays, we definitely need more research and evidence-based recommendations for practice and policy in this area. So GSE, we are the unit where active research and also practice is being pursued. And also we studied the impact of technology and digital transformation on education and society, looking into the affordances of instructional and mobile technology in teaching and learning around the world nowadays. So here's a list of faculty names researching and mentoring students in GSE from different theoretical and methodological backgrounds. So like here's a names. You might start to Google and learn more about their active research topics and such, starting with Dr. Nathan Castillo, exploring learning and teaching, mostly in the Global South, if I'm not mistaken, and Dr. Liv Davila, Her expertise are mostly about language and literacy, multilingualism. Dr. Linda Herrera, like youth culture and politics and policies of education, largely focused on in the Middle East. And Dr. Rebecca Heinz Pfeiffer, whose area of research is about education policy and program evaluation, looking into macro issues. Dr. Hyun-Soo Kang, I'm the one who's interested in studying language, literacy, bilingualism in relation to student mobility. And Dr. Landy Lindgren, who is the expert in environmental issues, sustainability issues in relation to globalization. And Dr. Cameron McCarthy, who is like a globalization, internationalization, looking into issues, global issues from the theoretical perspective. And Dr. Ellison Witt, we are going to have another opportunity to learn more about her research. But my understanding is that she's the expert in internationalization of higher education. Okay, so we offer quite a few different degree programs and also a certificate on campus and online. So here's a list. For the on-campus, we offer Master of Education and Doctor of Philosophy. For the online programs, we offer EDM, EDD, and more recently, we start to offer the Certificate of Specialization. This is for non-degree students for professional development opportunities, as well as degree students, online and on-campus degree students. So if you have any questions, Gina Peff is the expert who can answer all kinds of questions, but I'm also here to take any questions. So here's a list of upcoming deadlines. So for different degree programs, we have different deadlines. So the, for instance, online EDD, we used to accept, like we used to have a couple of different deadlines, but as of now, we only have like application due date just once a year. So April 15th is the one. Online EDM program, on the other hand, has quite a few different like opportunities for you guys to try. Okay, so this is all the information I have. But if you have any further questions about GSE, the academic side, for instance, here's my email address. Okay. So Dr. Wee will be taking over.
Okay, just a minute. Let me get my screen set for you. Can everyone see my screen, College of Education?
Sure
Great.
can.
Very good. Okay, well, I want to talk a little bit about a specialization within GSE, and that is International Education, Administration, and Leadership. This is really focused on making your coursework help you to get the career choice that you want after you finish the GSE degree. So we really think very carefully about adding in the practical components that will look good and provide you the expertise you need out in the job market once you finish. Now, either way, you can focus on either K-12 education or in higher education. And both of those, we're really thinking about the practice of internationalizing education. How do we do that in a K-12 setting? What are the impacts of having students from various nationalities within a classroom? What are the ways that we can prepare students in our classrooms to engage globally and to be comfortable engaging globally, those kinds of questions. On the higher education side, we're really training practitioners to be working in higher education, maybe leading study abroad, developing study abroad, or on the other side of it, welcoming students to campus, taking care of international students that arrive on campus, sorting visa issues, which has become enormously complex when we add the challenges of COVID. So you can really sort of choose between either focus if you want to really think more about K-12 or you want to think about higher education. And either way, we really try to help you just within the GSE coursework, really pick and choose the courses that will help you get to where you see yourself in the future. For example, I want to tell you a little bit about the course that I teach in the fall, Globalization of Higher Education. So in this course, we'll consider a lot of the theories and concepts that you might look at in some of your other courses. Cameron McCarthy has some similar readings to what I would have, thinking about the theories that inform practices of internationalization. But then what we will do is take a case study, something that is happening right at the moment that impacts higher education, and consider, given the theoretical framing, how should we think about this moment or this happening, and what might be both the ethical, responsible, reasonable sort of ways to proceed or to act within higher education. And there are similar type courses that you can take this more practical approach in K-12 focused areas too. So the ideas with this specialization is really just to help you sort of prepare for the work that you see yourself doing in the future. Now, one of the things that has developed, especially during the pandemic, but we're going to definitely keep this going because it's been so valuable, has been developing internships on a very individualized basis where you can sort of pick and choose what it is you want to work on, what you want to develop in your own skill set in order to apply for the jobs that you see yourself attaining in the future. So currently I have a number of students doing these kinds of internships where, you know, maybe they have worked in study abroad, you know, planning programs, but they haven't really had the opportunity to advise students. So we have established an internship and a program that they can really study this process of advising students and also gain some practical experience. I like to arrange these internships across our campus. They can all be done virtually. We've learned over the past few years that every single thing that we do can be done virtually. And this gives you a great opportunity to really take advantage of the global context of our campus, the resources that we have across our campus. And once you have this kind of practical experience in you know, working with our international admissions or any of these other offices, you then also have that reference going forward for when you are applying for jobs, and you also just expand your own professional network. So I think this specialization is really for those of you that see yourself taking up something in education specifically geared towards the actual practical act of internationalizing education. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about it as well. In that same, talking about practical experience, I want to just talk a little bit about the study abroad opportunities that we have as a part of our graduate programs in the College of Education. This year, we have greatly extended our deadlines because of all the craziness. We thought our students needed a little bit more time to decide about what you might want to do this summer. And we do still have these two programs, and we are keeping our application open until April 7th. So you have just a little over a week if you do want to take advantage of one of these opportunities. A unique thing about the College of Education is our study abroad actually started with graduate programs. We didn't ever used to do undergraduate study abroad, but we have for many, many years arranged what I guess you could call study abroad for graduate programs. We really think of it very much, I think the closest comparison would be like an internship. We arrange for you to be abroad with one of our partner institutions, working closely with a resident director there that can get you access and contacts in the places that you need to be in order to develop either your research or just your own professional interest. So let's take Panama here for an example. I was just in Panama last week. First time I have traveled since the before times. So it was really, really exciting. But more than just the adventure of actually leaving my house, it was very exciting to be in Panama thinking about our graduate programs, because Panama is at such an interesting moment in its education policy and in its framing of its whole identity nationally around its education. It reminded me a lot of the way Singapore felt in the 1990s, where they were just beginning to see themselves as this hub in the region, and they wanted to really position themselves in that way as an educational hub. Panama is doing a lot of the same things. They're thinking a lot about their place in the region and really trying to situate themselves as a gateway and a portal, in a way, for students from the global South, from South America, from Central America, to access to the United States, and at the same time for the US and other Western, or we might say, European, global North, education institutions to access those students in the region as well. So really fascinating things going on there, and a lot of excitement in the area of education. If you did want to go, you could work in, you could do your internship within K-12 schools. Very much excited to work with us and to get that kind of research going on within their institutions, but also within their higher ed. Really impressive things happening there, as well as NGOs. You could study Spanish if you want to. You don't need Spanish to function in Panama. My Spanish is from high school, so you can only imagine. I don't remember very much of it. And I was completely fine. Everyone spoke English to me. So if you want to practice Spanish, I think you could, but they're going to want to speak English to you. But that's one opportunity. The other one is in Italy. We have a really strong partnership in Verona. We've been working there long before I came to the university, forever. And while you could do internships with K-12, remember that Italy is on the same school schedule as us. So it would be students that are in summer camps at their school. It wouldn't be an actual school environment if you were wanting to do research, but you could still work with students and with teachers. And there's potential for other areas. Higher ed would also be less likely because they would be for more or less closed. It'd be much, pretty quiet in the summer. But we can certainly work with you if you do have an interest in being in Europe this summer. So just to give you a little bit of details about sort of how it works, it's very flexible. You can go for between 2 and 6 weeks, and the dates here, May 15th to July 31st, just roughly correspond with our summer session. The cost of the program includes all the internship arrangements, and that would depending on what it is that you would like to do, we will do that, some of it from our side, and then also with our partner institutions. The supervision of your internship, which again varies depending on what you want to do, and also your housing. And we have selected housing that we've worked with over time and that we're very confident with. Some of your meals are included, some cultural excursions, airport pickup, some transportation, and then that local director, which I think is a really important piece, because what can happen with graduate students, once you start doing some research, you may realize some additional contacts that you need that you didn't think you needed, but now you do when you're there and you're talking to people and the project is evolving. So having that local director is a really great advantage to you as you prepare, because they can help you get those additional contacts on site once you're there. You can see the cost here. We try to keep it as low as we can. Regarding the courses, you can take it for 4 credits, and you can do this in 2 ways. We have the EDUC 499 course. We also have independent study at the 500 level. Now, the difference between those is only in the course number. So you would decide what it is that you need, like if you need more 400 courses or you need more 500 courses, either way, we can make that work for you. And you will very carefully with me design exactly what the outcomes of the project would be. And then that's how you will be graded for the internship experience. So it's very flexible, very individualized, and a great opportunity for our graduate students to get some good connections, get in the door and get some research done right away if you'd like to. We do have a Panama info session next week. And let me just give you, here's the link for that if you want to attend that. And I've sent it to Travis too, so you'll probably be getting an email about this as well. And of course, feel free to reach out to me too if you have other questions. And I will stop sharing. And I think we'll open things up for questions, I assume.
Yeah, so we've gotten a few questions. I will start off with just in the order they've gotten through. If you've entered your question in the chat and I don't get to it, feel free to either type it in there again, send me a direct message, or in a moment, we'll allow people to raise their hand and unmute themselves and ask the question. With that said, I did get one question. Are there any study abroad opportunities available for alumni, Allison?
Yes, all of our programs are available for alumni, and those will be, so right now, these are the 2 that we have open for the summer, and we will be updating our list of what's happening as we go forward. You will always be welcome to join any of our College of Education study abroad programs going forward. As an alum, you're completely welcome. And in fact, we even invite alums sometimes that have a particular expertise in a particular area. Also, we will be letting you know if we're coming to where you are. If you're somewhere in the world and we're doing a study abroad program near you, we may show up, knock knock. Hello, here we are. We would love to invite you to join us for dinner. Hang out with us, spend some time with us while we're there, meet the other students. Because it's a great opportunity to just get some time together face to face. So as our study abroad opens up and resumes, you can expect more and more locations on our website. The 2 that we have there, we have to arrange these things way in advance, and we picked those 2 because we knew we could do those 2 no matter what happened with the pandemic, because of our partnerships in both places. So those were sort of the ones that we thought were indestructible programs, but you'll see more and more opening as we go, and as the world kind of adjusts to this new reality. So.
Another question that I got for that is, so if a student is planning on starting their program in the fall, when are study abroad programs available to them? Could they start in the summer, or would they need to wait until next summer, for example?
You could go ahead and do one this summer if you let us know soon. Again, the deadline's coming right up, so you'd have to make a decision pretty quickly. But the following summer is also fine. And note that we also have programs that run during winter break and our spring break. Now, I know our spring break can be a little tricky, and winter break can be too, depending on where you work and where you are in the world. Our winter break goes roughly from January 2nd to the 14th, around in there. And our spring break kind of varies. It's around the middle of March. And you can look on I'm sure it's on the calendar already for when it is for the next couple of years. So maybe take a look at those dates and see if any of those work. And then we'll always have these summer programs. And again, you can extend them, from 2 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on how much time you have in our summer months.
And then just to make sure that everybody knows, the study abroad opportunities are also available for online students. So it's not just
oh yes, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Students.
Yeah, for sure.
With that, does anybody have any questions that they didn't get that they want to unmute themselves and ask here?
Hey, everybody. I was wondering if you could speak to the cost per credit hour for the online master's programs. I couldn't quite find the specific program on the tuition calculator, I don't think. But I was just wondering about, do we know what the anticipated cost per credit hour will be for 22-23 academic year?
I believe it is, Gina, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's $4.90 per credit hour, but it's always subject to change based on the provost office. But right now it's $4.90 per credit hour.
Thank you.
Can you talk about scholarships for online students, especially for master's degree?
Does anybody know about scholarships?
Well, there's definitely scholarships that you can apply for. Those you will be notified of via email, kind of all of the time. We'll be sending you, I believe Laura does a weekly newsletter to update you on any scholarship opportunities. Those come out from time to time, and they're very specific to certain, types of programs or depending on the alumni that donated, they will have special criteria that they're looking for. For the most part, those would be, there's not going to be the full scholarship kind of opportunity. For the most part, it'll be smaller amounts and really focused on specific criteria. I would also suggest, though, that you keep an eye on the campus level scholarships. There's a lot of scholarships at the campus level out. So our college has some, but then campus would as well. And those can be even more significant, some pretty substantial scholarships. I happen to know of one student that just got a really beautiful scholarship at the campus level. And I just happened to know about it because she's also my niece. And so she was just got a really big scholarship at the campus level. And so those are out there too. And, really exciting to see our online students getting those. So Yeah, and like I said, we will be sending you notices about them. We try to keep an eye out for all of them, but there's a lot going on at the campus level. It's good for you to keep an eye out as well.
Thank you very much.
My question would be like, what would be the difference between the concentration wise global studies in education general, and then more specific? I feel like it's a subset or more specific, the international education administration and leadership. So is it if I just select the concentration as a general, would that be just kind of suffice that if my research interest is around the international higher education area?
Yeah, the IEAL is a subset. It's a subset of GSE. So GSE is what you would select. And then if you want to, you can do the IEAL, but you certainly don't have to. And it's not, you know, you're going to get plenty of you know, assistance, help, all of those things with the general GSE.
It's an IEAL, is more like a specialization. It does not really appear on your transcript, but you can certainly convey that to your future employers.
Is there certain faculties on this specialty area that other faculty is not belong to? Is there like a separation between, or is it just all within GSE?
It's all within GSE.
We have gotten a few questions about the certificate of specialization for bilingual bicultural. Could either of you talk on that briefly? It looks like some potential teachers are looking potentially need a certificate in that or have interest in that certificate of specialization.
I think that's the degree or program offered in the department called Curriculum and Instruction, not in EPOL. Both Ellison and I are coming from EPOL, Education Policy, Organization, and Leadership. So there's another department in the College of Education that offers bilingual, bicultural certification or endorsement in the state. So I often get questions of that kind as well. So what's the difference between GSE and bilingual, bicultural endorsement program? Well, like I don't exactly know how what's going on in the other department, but my understanding is that our GSE program takes a holistic global approach to linguistic diversity, equity, cultural diversity. So the course topics in our program will provide you with the tools, frames for you guys to critically think and analyze practices, pedagogical practices in linguistically diverse classrooms. In the bilingual, bicultural program, on the other hand, really directly addressing specific bilingual education program models, such as dual language programs in Illinois, mostly in the greater Chicago area, focused on Latinx students. So my guess is that they are really focused on micro level instructional techniques, really addressing the needs of Spanish, English, dual language schools. Okay. I hope this.
I think that was helpful in explaining differences. I also posted the link in the chat to a webinar info session we had last week from CNI, and they talk more specifically about the bilingual certificate of specialization.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One, the certificate program, uh, are the applications open for certificate program right now? And the second question, once the certificate program is done, if I need to upgrade to master's degree, will those courses be credited into master's degree?
The deadline for the certificate application is on a rolling basis, so you can apply anytime. Obviously, before a new semester starts or before a new term starts. So after testing the water by way of, the certificate program, if you decide to apply to our degree program, yes, certainly, you may have to do some sort of paperwork, with the advisor's approval, with the support of Gina's office and such. Yes, certainly you can transfer, you can carry over the classes you have taken in the certificate program to your future degree program, EDM or EDD, yes.
Thank you. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
And again, if you've missed anything, the session is being recorded and will get sent out to everybody about 12 hours after the event.
Yeah, I was just seeing Michael's question here about, the time change problem, which a number of us, struggle with. So I think that you should be okay, Michael. I mean, some of it's going to be, if you can handle it, the challenge of it. Certainly we have people in all different time zones around the world in the program, and particularly in GSE, it's very global. The students are literally all over the world. So certainly you can do the program from anywhere. It's, can you do the program with that demanding schedule? And I can tell you, I before the pandemic, I was traveling a great deal with my work too. And, I'm teaching in the program, and, sometimes I'm doing class at, it's morning where I am or whatever, but it seems to work, and you can definitely make it work. Just have to have the energy for it.
Yeah.
I echo Dr. Witt's response as well. Over time, I have had students from different parts of the world. So if students cannot attend synchronous class meetings, I have recordings available to listen anytime. So yes, definitely.
My question was really around, I understand the time change and the difficulty there, but my question was really around, do I have to be present with students and teachers? Because some master's degree programs for teachers, you have to be with a classroom and you have to deliver lessons and document it. And I was wondering, as a coordinator, would I have to be presential? Because I do all that work that you would imagine, but I'm just digital. It's really an interesting situation.
Yeah, you won't have to. I mean, you can be anywhere, and you don't have to have students with you. It's really going to be more on your own. You'll be reading, you may be doing some research like that where you'll need students, but that would be on your schedule. We wouldn't say this week you have to do this thing. That would really be on your schedule. So yeah, it's really just the surviving the time zone changes and all of that you'd have to manage, but certainly you wouldn't be alone. There would be a lot of people in the program doing the same thing.
I think Michael was asking about Practicum in some other online teacher education programs.
Yeah,
so
something like
in
that.
our EDM, EDD, we don't have a teaching practicum requirement at all. So like a internship, Dr. Witt just shared with us, could be, the example close to to the outside world, most of the coursework, taking classes, but obviously mediated through, computer technology.
Thank you.
I see a question from Elizabeth about graduates going on to teach at the university level. Yes, because this EDD is fairly new, but I can tell you that I've only had, I think, 4 now graduates from the program. So in our very first cohort, the first student that was my student in the program, that's exactly what she's doing. She's teaching in New York, and she's absolutely loving it. And she used to lead study abroad, but she's gotten really caught up with teaching at the university, and that's kind of become her new love. So absolutely, you can. We're preparing you for that, and for a number of other opportunities as well. We really like for you to try to tailor the program as much as you can to what it is that you want to pursue as you go forward.
Thank you.
I see we have a hand raised.
Yeah, question about kind of thinking about EBV program. Is your program kind of like a cohort model, or kind of roughly how many students are kind of in the EDD program? Kind of do we kind of go through it together, or is that more of a on your own pace and you kind of finish on your own pace?
I would say it's kind of both of those things. Don't you think, Hyun? So we don't strictly have a cohort model, but you will get to know everyone in the program. Many of the courses you will go through together, and you will, by coincidence, you will be in those courses. And so then you do get to know each other very well, and you have that network to support you. But we don't strictly, it's not enforced, and you can certainly go at your own pace, but you will get to know everyone around you and those that are in the program very well.
I agree. In addition to taking classes together, students get to participate in conferences or attending conferences together, or going to workshops together. So that way, a lot of informal social networking going on. So anecdotally, I've heard students talking about keeping in touch with other peers through WhatsApp, for instance. So there are many opportunities for you to get involved in community building.
Thank you.
Alana, I hope I got your name right.
Yeah,
see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, you did. Thank you so much. So I'm interested in the online education, master's in education for global studies. I work as a teacher full-time during the day. And so I was just hoping to get kind of an idea of I like what you were saying, Dr. Witt, about, flexibility and, honing the program into our skills and things like that. But I was also wondering, what would that kind of look like for someone like me who, is teaching full time in the day? What would that look like as I schedule courses in the evening? Like, what's the recommended kind of way of going about that? Like what I'm taking and the course load, and like what's kind of the practical way that would play out?
Many of our students are classroom teachers, so you will find quite a few colleagues in the program that are in the same situation as you. Our courses are scheduled in our evening time, so depending on what time zone where you're located, I hope that those fit for you. We do like if you can attend the synchronous sessions. And if not, we will make arrangements for you, but we love to have you in the synchronous sessions just to take full advantage of the program. I would really, I always recommend for students just to start with one course the first 8 weeks and see how it goes, especially when you're working full time, because just getting, that schedule it's pretty intense. It's a lot of reading. This is a full graduate program from the University of Illinois. Everything that sounds like is true. all of what you imagine is, we can confirm it's just as demanding as it sounds. And you'll want to plan accordingly, tell your friends, see you in 8 weeks, and block some Saturdays and some Sundays too, and a couple of evenings, and just, really prepare to sink into it. And you can definitely do it while teaching full time. Lots of people do. Many of our students are doing that, but it will, it's rigorous, and it will be a lot of work. But I can also tell you, it's that kind of work that is incredibly engaging, exciting, interesting. Your mind's going to be buzzing and full of new ideas. You'll be meeting so many people, doing so much. It'll be very exciting, but it will be intense. So,
thank you. I figured, but yes, thank you so much.
Right.
Any other questions while we still have a little bit of time?
Maybe can you talk to us a little about like a statement of purpose, what you are looking for? Like I looked, and then there are two kinds of statement of purpose: academic and personal. But maybe like for the personal, it looks like you're looking for a research topic. Can you talk a little more about that?
So I can start, and then, or if you want, either way. I really look to see, why Illinois, why this program, and why do you want to do this research at this place at this time? That's kind of what I'm wanting to understand when I see your statements. What is it that you're about? What do you want to really understand and research and spend some time studying, thinking about, questioning? And also, why is this a good fit for you? If you can let us know, I want to work with this faculty because this is my question. This is the research I want to do. And these are the people that I think can guide me in this. That's very helpful. I want to see, how do you fit? How does your question, your research, your passion fit into the faculty that we have? And that's really, kind of specifically what I'm thinking. But go ahead, Hyun.
I echo, Dr. Witt's points. And also, we use different set of criteria for EDD and for EDM. As you guys may know, as you might know, for the EDM program, we don't have so much of a research component. For the EDD program, however, there is a thesis, data-driven empirical work research project is a huge part of the program, or preparing students to get there is a huge part of the program. So in the statement of purpose, I'd like to see more evidence of engagement with the research, scholarship, or more focus. Not necessarily from the literature, but from their professional and personal lived experiences.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question on the road to the EDD program. Is it best to, if we were still figuring that out, and want the option of taking either going what would you recommend would be like the best stepping stone towards your long-term degree goal?
I couldn't hear your question very well. Sorry, the internet connection was.
I know my dog was drinking water. I'm so sorry. So my long-term goal is to complete an EDD program. But I still know that I need to get my feet wet and get to that focus point that you just talked about. Do you think that a specialized certificate would be good for next step, or a master's degree as a next step before the EDD?
I would say completing the master's would be a good step towards EDD. In our
Okay.
EDM program, mostly coursework. Through the coursework, you will get the exposure to research or scholarly activities, by interacting with the faculty members and also other students. And also,
Okay, great.
when we review EDD applications, one of the criteria, we use many criteria, weighing in different options as well. One of the criteria we definitely take into account is the master's degree completed.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see a question about the GRE, that you don't need the GRE.
No.
If I could ask another question, kind of tagging off of what Bernadette said. In terms of the master's, if we do have a master's, is there a specific type of master's or from a specific field of study? For instance, my master's isn't necessarily from an educational background, although I've been working in education for over like 10 years. So I'm just curious if that is something to consider, if perhaps doing another master's before pursuing ADD, or what your recommendation might be.
I don't think we are specifically looking for a specific master's degree. Master of Arts, Master of Education, even Master of Science. More like, as we review collectively as a committee, we look at an applicant's resume, transcripts from previous institutions, as well as, reference letters. We look at, we really triangulate different, sources about one applicant. So I would say, getting one specific type of master's would not be, the deal breaker or anything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I would say too, you could always mention, and you have those statements in which to say, though my master's degree was in this, I've been working, just the sentence that you just said, that's really helpful. I've been working in education for many years, and this is the direction I want to go. That's really, you want to see those personal statements as kind of your chance to explain, anything that you think might be confusing to us. If you have a degree in something completely different, but you've been doing this work and that's what's become your calling and your passion, just tell us that, that's what we need to hear. We need to understand, why this, why now, why are you wanting to do this? And so just let us see that, and that will be very helpful.
Thank you.
Looks like we have a hand raised. We have time for one last question here. Maybe not. Well, with that, we're starting to run out of time here. I did want to let everyone know that if they have other questions that were not answered tonight that they still had, they can email us at gradservices@education.illinois.edu. and we will get back to you with your answer. There also will be an email about 12 hours after this that will have the event recording. If you respond to that email, we will also be able to answer your questions. Did anybody have anything else to add here quick?
Yeah, Travis, it looks like there's a couple questions in the chat. And one is about requirement for recommendation letters. I don't think we have any, not that I'm aware of. Do we have any requirement? I mean, I know we require recommendation letters, but they don't have to be from any specific thing, you know,
I don't think so either, just 3. But once again, like we read them, you know.
Yeah, they should be just strong. Just let us know what's great about you. I mean, that's what you want your recommenders. You know, you really want to think carefully about who does that recommendation for you, that can really speak to you and what is unique about you, or you know, what you might contribute. And then it looks like I believe it's 3 letters, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, 3.
There's another one here.
Like, I think David said that he had a question but wasn't able to raise his hand.
Jump in, David. Go ahead, and can you just unmute? And
yeah, sorry about that.
no, that's okay.
I just downloaded Zoom again, and I'm trying to get reacquainted with it.
Oh, well, count your
times.
lucky stars. We've been doing nothing but Zoom, so.
As a student instead of a teacher, so the format's a little bit confusing for me.
Right, yeah.
So, my question is related specifically to my own situation. Like, I was a ESL classroom teacher abroad for 17 years, for a couple of years in South Korea, and then 15 in Hong Kong, and basically went to a point of burnout before my family moved back to the US. I do want to stay active in the field of education, but less in a classroom. And I could see that a lot of the coursework for the classes were quite interesting to me because of my experience traveling. I'm just curious, like what opportunities would be available to someone, say like myself, after completing the online masters?
That's a great question. And I have to tell you, there's so many people that share your story. You know, they've been teaching abroad, or they've been teaching for many years, and they're really looking for something related, but not that same thing. And I think that there's just so many opportunities. Certainly in higher education, you know, there would be a lot of opportunities for the kind of work where you're assisting on one side or the other of student mobility, either sending students abroad, helping prepare them to go abroad, or on the reverse of that, bringing students into campuses and taking care of those students as they make that adjustment. So really managing student mobility in all different ways, and in all the positions that requires, but so many other things as well. We even have students that are taking this kind of international preparation and taking it into a corporate sphere. So there's a lot of opportunities to use it in that way. One of the things that would be, advantageous for you in the program would just be to learn from other people in the program, sort of what other opportunities they're doing. One of the things I have loved about teaching in the program is just getting to have these students from all over the world come together once a week and hear about their experiences. So I think you'd get a great networking opportunity to sort of figure that out. What is that next step for you? And get a chance to sort of decide. Hyun, go ahead. I'm sure you have other.
One of the things you may consider or ask yourself is, am I interested in working with the children, or am I interested in working with adults? If you're interested in higher education, universities and colleges, community colleges, four-year universities, a growing number of universities are expanding international programs offices. Dr. Witt is a wonderful expert and role model you can look up to. Even on this campus, different colleges have their own international program offices on top of the university level international program office. So those offices could be one place you might look into or ask more about, starting with Dr. Witt. And over time, I've seen some students while working, like for those offices, they pursue their EDM and EDD degrees as well. And one perk of working and pursuing a degree is that your tuition fees will be all taken care of by the university system.
That's a big perk. That's a really big one. You should also think, David, about NGO work. There's a lot of opportunity in NGOs. When I was just in Panama last week, they were, sort of mentioning that again, that they also have needs in those areas. So around the world, depending on what part of the world you want to be in, that's another big place where a lot of our students look for jobs, move towards. So something else to keep in mind. I mean, there's just so many things. It's hard to summarize quickly here, but and certainly, oh yeah, I'll put my email in the chat. Certainly, we have a career services office too. I know we win awards for it. I only know one person in that office, but I know that we win like national awards for our career services. So I would, pretty quickly, you might want to have a conversation with them and kind of talk through some of your interests and see what they would recommend, for sort of pinpointing more specifics. I mean, we don't want you to feel like you have to have all the answers when you come in. We'll certainly we'll just throw resources at you until you figure it out.
Thank you very much, ladies, for answering my question.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Thanks for getting my email in there. I should have had that on my slides.
I think I got it for you. Did I get that
Yeah,
right?
I saw it. And
Okay.
Jenna got it for me too, so I'm all set. They can find me pretty easily.
Perfect. Well, we are past the time that we had scheduled for this evening. I want to thank you all for all of the great questions. Thank you to both professors for joining us this evening. Please reach out to us if you have any other questions, or if you think of questions later. We're happy to answer those and get you answers to those. We hope that if you have not already applied, you'll consider applying for our programs here in the College of Ed. Take care and have a great day.
Thank you.